In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Most Merciful, I bear witness that there is but one God whose proper name is Allah, and I bear witness that Muhammad is his messenger. I hadn't started the webinar. There you go. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Most Merciful, I bear witness that there is no God but Allah, and I bear witness that Muhammad is his messenger. I want to greet you, my beloved brothers and sisters, and the greeting words of peace. We say it in the ancient tongue of Arabic. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome, 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 dear brothers and sisters. Shalom, shalom, Ja, Rastafari. Greetings to all of you who are tuned in to another episode of the Image and Nation show. Welcome, welcome, welcome. My name is Brother Leo Muhammad, and sitting alongside me is my beloved wife and friend and companion on the Image and Nation show.
Assalamu alaikum family, my name is Sister Claudia Muhammad. Welcome, welcome to another edition of Image and Nation. I pray that you are all safe and well, and I'll say Eid Mubarak to
That's
you
right,
all.
Eid Kareem. Yeah, we're still in that vein, and to be honest, we should confess that we finished the 30 days of Ramadan, but we're currently doing 6 days of Shawwal, which is an extended part of the fast, which is absolutely beautiful. It's testing, it's trying, but that's where we are at the present time. We are still fasting, dear beloved. When do you finish?
Tomorrow evening.
And I finish the day after. I finish on Saturday.
It's a test.
Yeah.
Once you can start eating, then to go back to doing it all over again, it is very testing.
Yeah, but it's beautiful, family. Yes. We're always trying to encourage all of us, including ourselves, of course, to just become that much more disciplined in life, to take charge. You know what I mean? Right. To literally make an attempt, family, more than an attempt, to live your life on purpose. Be the person who is self-determined, okay? Somebody who is able to say what they mean, mean what they say, and do what they say. It's very, very important that we take charge of our lives in that way.
Well, you have to realize that nobody can make the changes but yourself. You have to be self-motivated to you have to get to that point in your life to say, you know what, I've had enough of how I am. I want to make that change.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So. We want to do something different. We want to make changes. We're the only ones who can do it for ourselves, dear family.
And that's why Ramadan is such a wonderful thing. 30 days of fasting, 30 days to really think about yourself, to go
pray.
Away. That's right.
To
talk
read.
to God, get closer to God, and to thank God for all the blessings. We are so blessed continuously, every second of the day, where God is always blessing us.
Absolutely. And for those of you who have been with the Image and Nation show from the beginning, you know your brother has had so many little problems and glitches and issues with the technology. But the same way in which your computer sometimes can mess up, and either you do it yourself or you take it to the shop or whatever, and they can reset your computer. Or if it crashes completely, it can be rebooted. Well, Ramadan is like that, dear family. Ramadan is like that for the person, for the human being, for the man, for the woman, where we can literally reset, reboot. You know what I mean? Start with a clean slate. Clean ourselves up and start afresh, start anew. It's a wonderful, wonderful feeling, dear family, to have an opportunity, to be given such an opportunity by Almighty God to be able to fix up ourselves and, relaunch ourselves on the path of righteousness, on the path of success. So, we really would encourage you to, if you didn't manage to do it this year, think about it for next year. Yes. Pray, obviously, we pray that Allah will bless us to be around next year, because tomorrow is not guaranteed to any man or any woman.
That's right. And I will say greetings to you, DJ Mr. P, and to our sister JJ, yes, you made a great point. Yes, clean heart and mind. Absolutely. That is so key.
Absolutely. And that's easier said than done.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? You imagine you live in a world that's just filthy. Imagine how many times you've had to clean your car. Think about that. How many times? My wife I think she's a germaphobe. I'll be honest with you. She's constantly hoovering, right? You know, vacuuming the house
No,
and
but
whatever.
tell them why. We have a white.
Yeah, everything
white
is
floor.
kind of white. Everything is white here, so you know, any little thing shows up. So she's constantly cleaning. But you see, think about life. That's what life is like. Do we not have to shower every day? Do we not have to constantly wash and clean? Each time we have food, don't we have to wash up the dishes or whatever?
Right.
So just think about what Sister JJ said.
That's right.
About the clean heart and the clean mind. It's not something that you can just assume, because some of us we get a bit holier than thou.
Mm-hmm.
We're self-righteous.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I'm so clean. I'm so no, you're not. No, I'm not. No, we're not.
No.
Okay, it's a constant process of renewal and re-cleaning and you know, checking for blemishes and checking for spots, not outward but inward.
Inwardly.
I hope everybody gets that. Welcome to episode 77.
Oh, thank you, JJ.
Yeah,
My sister, she said, I'm always cleaning. It is a reflection of who we are.
There you
That's
go.
Right.
There you go. And how silly would it be to be constantly cleaning on the outside
And
but not cleaning on the inside, you know?
That's right.
I don't want to get diverted because I tell you that's a subject in and of itself. Welcome to episode 77 of the Image Nation show. And this week, dear family, we've returned to our normal time, and we will be finishing around the 8 o'clock mark, inshallah, God willing. And the title of our show this week is, Will the Real Racist Please Stand Up? Will the real racist please stand up? Now, I've got to say, dear family, you know, I really want to, we're going to be making some changes as we go along, and we're going to be seeking to occupy other platforms as well in terms of the show. And again, we will encourage you, dear family, at this time to really send the Zoom link to your family and friends and those who you would like to tune into the Image Nation show. Do not take it for granted that we're always going to be able to get onto YouTube, because we've seen how they've behaved in the past. They love to cancel this show and stop it from going out. So I would encourage you, because the reason I say that is because I make no apology for attempting in my life to be a truth teller. And the Image Nation show is all about truth. We're really not in the business of compromising the truth. We're really not in the business of running scared because somebody doesn't like truth or doesn't like what it is that we desire to share. And so, you know, don't be surprised if, you know, Brother Leo is constantly getting into trouble and they're constantly deplatforming the show. Okay, because when I say, will the real racist please stand up, I'm not about to play around with such a subject, because it's a very serious subject. There are serious things going on in our world, on our planet right now when it comes to race. And I have to say, you know, believe me, family, as a people, as black people, we are not a race, okay? We are not a race. A race is something that has a start and a finish. We are taught in the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad that there is no birth record for the original man, for the black man. There is no death for us. We are from the beginning to the ending, wherever that is. And as far as race is concerned, we are the mothers and fathers of the races. We produce the races. There could be no brown man if it wasn't for the original black man and woman. There could be no yellow man and woman if it wasn't for the original black man and woman. There certainly could be no white man, no red man Certainly no white man if it wasn't for the original black man and woman. This is very, very important for us to appreciate, because, you know, we use language and terminology that's been given to us, but it's not necessarily that we called ourselves these things. We've just taken on board what other people have referred to us, and now it becomes, you know, like a standard thing where we say the black race. There is no black race. There is a black nation, a universal established nation without borders. That's who the black man and black woman is. That's why when you look at all of the people who are on our planet, and they've traveled here and they've traveled there, wherever they've gone, they have found the original man. They have found the original people. So it's very important. Go ahead, sister.
And that's why we need to stop calling ourselves ethnic minorities.
All of that nonsense. All of that.
Isn't it?
I think I've broken it down before on the Imagination show. The root of ethnic.
Yes.
The root of ethnic is heathen. Okay? Heathen. Right. Non-believers. People who are paganistic and people like that. You know, that's not us, dear family. We're not no minority. On planet Earth, we are the majority. We may be a minority in some little community somewhere where we live, but we're not a minority on the planet. So when you refer to yourself as a minority, when you allow people to call us an ethnic minority, it is to diminish our value, to diminish our worth, to diminish our identity. And identity is critical. It's crucial, dear family. And so, you know, I'm saying that because when we tackle such issues, we expect that some people will be upset, but we really don't care, because if we're dealing with truth, that's what we're dealing with. And so those of you who live in the UK, you may have heard recently, you know, a big kerfuffle now around this sister, Diane Abbott, who is an MP in the Houses of Parliament in the United Kingdom. And she's now been suspended from the Labour Party on the pretext, this is my language, on the pretext that she expressed views that were simply unacceptable. Okay, she's either woefully misinformed or deliberately bigoted. This is some of the statements that I've heard people saying about this sister, Diane Abbott. She's either woefully misinformed or deliberately bigoted. And this is a woman who she was one of four black people were the first ones to enter the Houses of Parliament, the House of Commons, many years ago now, back in the 80s. And, you know, according to actual facts, okay, according to what most people know to be a reality, she is the most, she has received the most racism of any MP in that house over many, many years. So this is a woman who knows about racism, has been at the butt of racism, has been subject to racism, has suffered racism. And if you know anything about Diane Abbott over the years, she's always styled herself as an anti-racist. She's always occupied that type of platform. And I'm saying that because, you know, she's now herself been suspended and been accused of being a racist, of being an anti-Semite. And again, dear family, I just think it's important for us to appreciate what's really going on here, which is why I use the word pretext. Okay, she's been suspended by the Labour Party on the pretext that she expressed some particular views. So, Diane Abbott, brothers and sisters, according to how this thing unfolded, she had been responding to a comment which suggested that Irish, Jewish and traveller people all suffer from racism in the UK. So somebody had made a comment. I don't know whether it was in a written form, it was on TV, whatever it was, on Twitter, whatever the case may be. But she felt the need to respond to the suggestion that Irish, Jewish and traveller people all suffer from racism in the UK. Okay, so this is where this particular controversy begins. And so it is said that she wrote, and there's no disputing the fact that she wrote this, because she's admitted to writing what they've reported that she wrote. But she wrote, "It is true that many types of white people with points of difference, such as redheads, can experience this prejudice." What's wrong with that statement? She's saying it's true. Okay? The suggestion was that Irish, Jewish and traveller people suffer from racism. Diane Abbott says it is true that many types of white people with points of difference, such as redheads, they call them ginger, okay, and ginger people can suffer a hard time. I sometimes I've heard myself making jokes about that. Sometimes when I said I have an in-law, one of my sister-in-laws who's left-handed. And I say to her, "Oh, did you know that back in the day they used to kill left-handed people at birth?"
Are you talking about Sister Lorna?
Yes, I am.
She's on now, so she can respond to you.
I know. They used to kill them at birth, and then people with ginger hair and things like this. There's lots of jokes that's made. I think sometimes just in simple joking banter or whatever, but I think some people are quite vicious with it in terms of that. So
well, look at Harry. That's why they pick on him.
And but they often mention the fact that he's ginger hair.
Yes.
Prince Harry. We're talking about Prince Harry here, okay? And there is some kind of mocking that goes on. So yeah, Diane Abbott is acknowledging the fact that redheads can experience this prejudice. Now she uses the word prejudice.
We heard that.
Okay. I'm just, Sister Lorna, I'm just letting them know the type of prejudice that goes on, not just against redheads, but even left-handed people. Okay, maybe it's because of the way you sort of
turn their hand. She doesn't though.
Diane Abbott used the word prejudice. Okay, and the definition of prejudice. Really, it's very simple. The Honourable Minister Louis Farrakhan broke it down for us again many years ago. It literally, when you break that word down, it means to prejudge. It means to prejudge. That's what prejudice means. Okay, so when you're prejudiced against somebody, it's like you're making an assumption that you know something about them that you don't necessarily know. But that's prejudice. You are prejudging them, or you're prejudging it. That particular circumstance, which demonstrates a prejudiced view or a prejudiced mind. Dear family, I'm taking my time on this a little bit because I just want you to think. Okay, this is what she wrote. "It is true that many types of white people with points of difference." Back in the day, they used to call Italians Dagos. Dagos. During the there's lots of white people who come under scrutiny because of differences, because they've got a particular hair color, or they may have freckles, or they may come from a particular part of the country even. Okay, so she's acknowledging that there is a kind of prejudice, not necessarily racism, because if it's two white people and one is mocking or ill-treating the other, you can't call that race, because it's a person from the same race doing it to another person in the same race, even though that person may have a slight difference within that race. Is it racism? I just want us to think. Our subject this week is, will the real racist please stand up? So she wrote, "It is true that many types of white people with points of difference, such as redheads, can experience this prejudice." I'm wondering what's wrong with that statement. She goes on, "But they are not all their lives subject to racism." Again, I just want you to think. And because, see, these people, a lot of these people rely on us as a people just being emotional in terms of either our response to something or emotional in terms of our expression about something, in terms of how we might initiate something. But I'm asking us right now to adopt the lesson from the Nation of Islam and rise above your emotion into a mathematical thinking. Rise above your emotion now into the thinking of God. Rise above emotion into a calculus whereby now we're just looking at words and what they really mean, and not trying to be subjective towards these words and trying to feed in meanings to them where there's nothing there. She says, but they are not all their lives subject to racism. Which white people do you know who all of their lives have been subject to racism? And I'm saying juxtapose that against black people. That's the point. That's Diane Abbott is a black woman. She knows what she's talking about. She knows what she's been subject to all of her life. So she's now looking at the people that she's been living among all of this time, bearing in mind that her constituency is in a part of North London that takes in Stamford Hill, which is a densely populated Jewish community. And that's part of her constituency that she's been over for many, many years. So if she was an anti-Semite or a racist against those people, surely they wouldn't have kept re-electing her into that post. I just want you to think, because these are the people who have a very strong community cohesion, and they carry a lot of power, whether people like to accept that or not, within the society. And so I just want you to think about this pretext that's now being used against Diane Abbott, because surely if she was what they say she was, this would have made itself manifest a long time ago, especially with a constituency like that. She goes on. This is what she wrote. She says, in pre-civil rights America, before the civil rights, Irish people, Jewish people, and travelers were not required to sit at the back of a bus. Is that true? Yes, it is. The only people that were required to sit at the back of the bus was black people. Right. Again, Diane is speaking the truth. But you see, what you've got to appreciate, dear family, you know, sometimes when people become outraged by words that you speak, it's not necessarily because you're saying anything wrong. But it may be that you're saying something that they don't want you to say, because they don't want other people to come to an appreciation of the reality of what you're talking about. See, there's cover-ups that have gone on in this world. And whether we appreciate it or not, we live in a world right now where people are trying to muddy the waters of so many issues. I mean, I'm, you know, do I need to go there? You know, now we're supposed to be in doubt as to what's a man and what's a woman.
That's right.
I saw a high official, I think, was running to become a Supreme Court judge recently in America, who was being asked the question, and it was a black woman as well, being asked the question, can you define a woman? And she couldn't, and she wouldn't, because political correctness now says that no, there's really no difference between a man and a woman. This is some sick stuff. Okay, but I just want us to think. Go ahead, sister.
Yeah, no, I was speaking to a sister. She was saying, okay, if this is the way the world wants to go, yes, that a woman can say she's a man. She said, well, she's not paying her bills because she's a 2-year-old.
No, she's taking that from me.
Yeah.
I said I'm a 3-year-old girl.
Yeah.
I don't
Because
own...
now you can say whatever you want.
Well, yeah, you can. I can claim. Maybe I can claim to be a toothpick. Do toothpicks required to pay rent, or to pay for their fuel, their petrol?
Yes.
I mean, it's such a nonsense that's going on now. So, dear family, I just want us to follow this. Okay, Diane Abbott continues. She says, in apartheid South Africa, these groups were allowed to vote. She's talking about these white groups and other groups or whatever, other people. In apartheid South Africa, everybody could vote except for one group. There was only one group who couldn't vote, family, and that was the indigenous black people of that region, of that nation, of that continent. Black people could not vote because of anti-black racism. And then she says, and at the height of slavery, at the height of our enslavement, there were no white seamen people manacled on the slave ships. Again, I'm asking you, what did Diane Abbott say that was so wrong? What did she say that was so wrong? Or was she wrong now because as a black woman who has been a lifelong sufferer of anti-black racism, she has no right to speak like an independent, free black woman? You see, she has no right to express herself, maybe like, say, a white woman could express herself and not be sanctioned and not find themselves in hot water. See? You know, that these people are screaming anti-Semitism or racism, but what about the anti-black racism that has been shown to Diane Abbott? By the way, this is an image of Diane Abbott, Keith Vaz, who was an Asian MP. I think he left in disgrace. I think he ended up leaving in disgrace. Bernie Grant, the great Bernie Grant, who unfortunately and sadly passed away. I believe Bernie's parents are still alive. You know, so even the way he went, I mean, dear family, one of these days again we're going to look at Bernie, but he was a champion of reparations for black people. And then on the end you've got Paul Boateng, who when he eventually, that was when they were first entering Parliament, those four, as the first black people to enter into the Houses of the Parliament in the UK. And then at a later stage, Paul Boateng became a cabinet minister. So they got all of these elevations where now you got the first black man ever to become a cabinet minister in the cabinet of the government. And when all the media rushed him to say, Paul, how does it feel to be the first black cabinet minister? His reply was words to the effect, I'm not a black cabinet minister. Before I'm black, I am an MP. I said, my God. It's just, and when I posed the question to him one time, I asked him about reparations. He said, reparations is a non-starter. This is what happens when we are brought into the fold and we lose our minds and we think that we've arrived. Dear family, I hope you're following this, and I hope you can agree with me that so far, what as Diane Abbott said, that is so egregious that you got all of these people, and I think the debate and the discussions around this and the condemnation went on for at least 4 days in the media. It was all over talk radio, in the newspapers, you name it. Everybody was talking about, and I would say universally, apart from a couple of little things I saw on social media, universally this sister was being absolutely condemned as some bigoted, crazy woman who dared to utter such words, to write down such words in a newspaper. I think it was the Observer newspaper. And so a Labour Party spokesman said, the Labour Party completely condemns these comments which are deeply offensive and wrong. Just think, man. Just think. Okay, the chief whip in the House of Commons has suspended the Labour whip from Diane Abbott pending an investigation. And by the way, this whip thing, I think it's very interesting. You see, because you got a chief whip who's the main one who whips all the MPs into line when to get them to vote in line with the government or in line with the particular political party that they belong to. And Diane Abbott, she also held a whip. She was also, just like how during our enslavement they would give overseer status to certain enslaved people, and they would have them do the whipping and whip us. So Diane also was given a whip in the House of Commons, you know, the authority to whip other MPs into line. And you see, their family, I wonder if we appreciate that when we are given positions in such a society, in such environment, in such a system, that you can't do or say anything against that system. It's called literally biting the hand that feeds you. It's called, you know, being a troublemaker or rocking the boat. You're not given the whip to then turn around and be a person who's going to speak truth. The whip's job is to whip everybody to toe a particular line. Whether that line is truthful, honest or not, it don't make no difference. And so she had the whip suspended their family, and this is pending an investigation. And according to, you know, most of the talking heads that I've heard and what I've seen written, I mean, she's been tried and found guilty already. Okay, as far as they're concerned. Why? But why? Why is it so sure that she is a guilty party? And now it's just really down to Keir Starmer, the head of the Labour Party, and those who are in a position of power to say whether she's to be expelled completely from the party or whether she can continue having been chastised sufficiently. Well, this is the reason, dear family. Diane Abbott said on Twitter, this is after now, Diane Abbott says on Twitter, "I am writing regarding my letter that was recently published in the Observer. I wish to wholly and unreservedly withdraw my written remarks and disassociate myself from them." See, this is the problem, family. This is the problem. And this is why we say the Honourable Minister Louis Farrakhan is the last man standing. Do you know, and I think it was only recently that the Honourable Minister Louis Farrakhan talked about Galileo.
Yes, that was
at Saviour's Day. And I don't know if you know the story of Galileo, who was really teaching about the relationship between the planets and how the planets relate to the sun. And he was telling the truth. But the powers that be in that day, they had a notion that the sun was going around the planets as opposed to the planets going around the sun. And as a result, they condemned Galileo, and instead of Galileo sticking to his truth that he knew, he capitulated. He gave in and basically died an ignoble death, where he could have died a noble death. He could have gone down in history really as such a great person. The fact that he went back on what he knew to be true. I mean, think about that, man. Imagine people can put fear into you to the degree where you will deny yourself, where you will deny truth.
Yes. Well, it also goes back to roots.
Yeah.
Kunta Kinte, standing in front of everyone and being whipped, and they're saying, "Say your name." He was saying Kunta Kinte. And then, "Say your name." And then they whipped him until he said Toby.
And then if you remember that scene, you see the way everybody was just...
They was hoping that he would stand up.
And die on truth.
Yeah, die on truth. That's what we've been taught, to die on truth.
You got to die on truth, man. Sad, isn't it?
Hold on. DJ Mr. P said, "This is where Diane went wrong. She retracted the truth. What do you have to fear if you are telling the truth? Cha.
That's the Jamaican.
Yeah.
Cha.
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 Yes.
It's a
sad,
terrible
isn't
thing.
it? But we're all going to be tested.
Everybody's going to be
Everyone.
tested. Yeah, so, you know, I hope that nobody thinks I'm here just throwing off on Diane, because, you see, in the end, dear family, this is going to be the test.
Mm-hmm.
The test is going to be who's willing to stand on truth.
That's right.
The Honourable Minister Louis Farrakhan said that we can compromise on everything except the truth. See? And you know, some of us will even pretend that we're not compromising on the truth, and then we'll do some mental gymnastics to say other than the truth,
Yes.
as if we've stayed with it, but we haven't stayed with it. You have to stay with the truth, dear
That's
family.
right.
Just listen to Diane's words. I'm writing regarding my letter that was recently published in the Observer. I mean, just that alone, the fact that you wrote the thing and it was for a newspaper, and then, you know, then you look, family, if you're in this country, I mean, they've changed it a lot now, because I think that a lot of the speed limits now is around 20 miles an hour.
Some roads.
But back in the day, most of the roads in a built-up area was 30 miles an hour. And what would happen from time to time is, if you got stopped by the police, one of the first questions they would ask you is, what speed were you going? Or do you know the speed limit? And say, for instance, you were doing 45 in a 30. Family. The reason he's asking you, he knows you were doing 45 because he clocked you doing 45. The reason he's asking you, do you know the speed limit and what speed were you going, is because he's waiting for you to lie. Once you lie, he knows you're afraid. So what if they stopped you and said, and you were doing 40, and they said, what speed were you doing? And you said 40. It actually happened to me. It's happened to me. And when I said the speed that I was doing, which was over the speed limit, the policeman said, okay, well, slow down and, you know, go on your way, kind of thing. But if you lie, man knows he's got you now, because you're frightened of him, or you're frightened of some consequence. You're frightened of something, which is why, see, you shouldn't speed unless you are willing to take the consequences. Just saying. She said, I'm writing regarding my letter that was recently published in the Observer. I wish to wholly and unreservedly withdraw my written remarks and disassociate myself from them. Do you know that, Diane, that whether you wholly or unreservedly withdraw and disassociate yourself, those remarks are always going to be attributed to you. You'll never be able to live that down, and they will always follow you. See? She goes on, she says the errors arose in an initial draft being sent. So she's here now trying to scramble around, saying that, oh, it was an accident that it was sent out. My God, my God, my God. But there is no excuse, and I wish to apologize for any anguish caused. Let me tell you something, man. Diane Abbott caused no anguish. You see the man she's standing next to in this picture? That man was the leader of the Labour Party, and he started a movement in the United Kingdom which was threatening to overthrow the status quo, because Jeremy Corbyn is a rebel by any stretch of the imagination. He is a real rebel in that parliament and in British politics. And I said a long time ago that Jeremy Corbyn was Britain's last chance. And the system is so corrupt and so wicked that that man could never, ever become prime minister, because he would just upset the apple cart, because he was not a warmonger. He was not one of the, by the way, he recognized the legitimate claim of reparations of black people. Okay, Jeremy Corbyn, had he come to power, reparations would have been very much on the table. But the point is this, dear family. Jeremy Corbyn was never going to be allowed to occupy that space called number 10 Downing Street. And they went to war against this man, and they basically destroyed him on the basis of him being an anti-Semite and a racist. Let me tell you something. You know, I'm not going to try and defend Jeremy Corbyn, but I'll just say it like this. You know, white people have a propensity towards racism. That's just their leaning, it's their nature. They can't help it. You may want to dispute that, but you can't. I can prove it at no limit of time, based on the teachings of the Most Honourable Elijah Muhammad. It is their nature. Racism, race hatred, xenophobia, and all of these things that they have manifested all around our planet comes out of them like a web comes out of a spider. It's not something that is foreign to them. Dear family, Jeremy Corbyn was such an unusual character because he really didn't display or manifest much of that type of behavior. He was one who was an advocate and a supporter of the Palestinians, so he was accused of siding with terrorists. He was even one who would recognize the legitimate argument of the IRA in Ireland when they were fighting against the British back in the 70s and the 80s. And so this man was seen as an absolute danger, and all of the stops were pulled out to paint him in a particular way and ultimately to get rid of him, destroy him, and you know, make sure that he couldn't ascend to that office of Prime Minister. Diane Abbott, I mean, there were some pictures I could have shown you way back, years and years ago. Diane Abbott was a very young sister standing next to Jeremy Corbyn, and all throughout Corbyn's leadership of the Labour Party, she was right there by his side. She was, in fact, like a deputy to him. And so this is what this is really about, dear family. The new man who has taken over the Labour Party, Keir Starmer. Let me tell you, you know, family, and I've said this before and I'll just say it again very briefly. You know, politics is such a game. I think in the black community, some people coined the phrase politricks. And that's really all it is. It's just politricks. That's what you're subject to. Somebody asked the Honourable Minister Louis Farrakhan one time who, you know, he would vote for. Would he vote Democrat or Republican? And the minister, I'm paraphrasing, the minister's reply was along the lines, you know, so you're asking me to choose between Satan and Beelzebub. Beelzebub is another name for Satan. Okay, they often say themselves in their elections, it's the choice between the lesser of two evils. I ain't choosing no evil, much less a lesser of two evils. But this is what politics, modern day politics is, dear family. It's a game that they play on the people. And now the Conservatives have been in power for over 13 years, and you know, they've had their run, and so now they're gearing the population up now for Keir Starmer and Labour. And so they're going to do everything possible to try and give you the impression that this man, when he comes in, man, it's going to be the best thing since sliced bread. He's going to do such a wonderful thing for the British people. British people, you are being played, okay? He's going to be Tony Blair 2.0, okay? You remember Tony Blair came in with New Labour? This is going to be New Labour, all right? And New Labour is going to be just like the Conservatives. It was on the Blair that we went on a fake and a false war into Iraq. It was on the Blair that so much really wicked things happened around this world and also happened to the British people. So it's just a game. It's just a game. Okay, they're not gonna. Keir Starmer ain't coming in to change nothing. But what Keir Starmer can't afford, and his backers can't afford, and those who pull his strings can't afford, is to have somebody like a Diane Abbott still hanging out in the Labour Party under this new regime, this new tricky system that they're going to foist onto the British people. Because Diane Abbott is forever going to be associated with Jeremy Corbyn, so she has to go.
Yes.
Okay, this is why I use the term pretext. It's just a way to get rid of some of that old guard. She's part of that Corbynista, as they like to say, system. And so Diane Abbott has got to go, dear family. That's what this really is all about. I'm saying, will the real racist please stand up? Look, I think she wrote, racism takes many forms. This is what Diane this is part of what she wrote. She says, racism takes many forms, and this is in her, basically apologizing letter, okay? Racism takes many forms, and it is completely undeniable that Jewish people have suffered its monstrous effects, and as have Irish people, travellers, and many others. Yes, true. But again, I kind of beg to differ, Diane, because you see, she's now, what she was suggesting was that, yes, these groups of people have suffered prejudice, absolutely, but racism, no. And I'll tell you why I say that in a minute. And all of you who are highly intelligent people who are tuned in this evening, you already know, and you should know. But she goes on, she says, once again, I would like to apologize. I would like to apologize. Because we have to apologize, man. We have to beg them for mercy. And I heard some people on the radio the other day saying, well, yeah, the apologies don't mean a damn thing. It don't mean nothing. She has to go. They have to throw her out, Once again, I would like to apologize publicly for the remarks and any distress caused as a result of them. Dear family, this is the new head man, the new top man, Keir Starmer, and I'm telling you, him and Diane Abbott are not to coexist within the same party. She has to go. Okay, this is what this is all about. Okay, it's removing a certain type of person, and they don't care how they do it. They will just come up with some fake reason, and they will fake, outrage and my God, this is so terrible. I mean, believe me, I hope you've been following what we've read thus far about what she said, because I haven't seen anything or anywhere where she's been disrespectful to Jewish people or anybody else, or being racist, much less racism, and even further still, anti-Semitism. My God, dear family, this is how wicked this world is, where they will manufacture stuff, and you'd be surprised how many people who are surface dwellers, just read these papers, watch these television shows, and they just suck at this stuff up, and they just get hook, line, and sinker, go along with all this madness. Dear family, I'm saying Diane Abbott is too close to Jeremy Corbyn. So from the point of view of new Labour, she must go. She touched a raw nerve by once again highlighting who the real victims of undeserved racism, persecution, and oppression are. And those real victims, these are without doubt none other than we, the black people, lost for over 400 years in the white man's world. This is where Diane went, where she shouldn't have gone, from the perspective of those who are trying to claim a mantle of suffering. And they want to claim the mantle of suffering to such a degree that if we mention our suffering, which is 400 years, while theirs was 4 years under a particular regime called Nazism, not like the whole world, because we can point to Jews being involved in our enslavement, white people being involved in our enslavement, Arabs being involved in our enslavement, even Africans being involved in our enslavement. We can point to the whole world playing a role in this situation. But Jews were, or Jewish people were, under Nazism being destroyed for 4 years. We were under global oppression, that triangular slave trade, they like to call it, for 400 years. According to some conservative estimates, over 100 million black people lost our lives in the Middle Passage alone. That's just the journey over in those decades and centuries that this thing went on for, man. And they don't want nobody to remind the world of this, because it takes the shine away from their Holocaust when we talk about our Holocaust. I want you to understand, this is real, family. They want to monopolize suffering. They want the whole world to focus on them. What about us? Well, you know, and don't you dare try to promote black suffering to its rightful place as the worst crimes against humanity that's ever been committed on this planet. No, don't do that, because you will get into trouble with us. We will call you an anti-Semite. We will try to elevate ourselves to a whole race. Look, family, did you know that to be a Jew is not a race? How come we got black Jews then? How come we got Chinese Jews? How come we got brown Jews? How come we got white Jews? Judaism is not a race. You know, I've heard people over the years trying to suggest that in the Nation of Islam we teach segregation. You've never heard anything like that come out of the mouth of any member of the Nation of Islam. Certainly not out of the mouth of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad or the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. We don't teach segregation. Segregation is where one set of people with a lot of power segregate another set of people into ghettos, into poverty, into disenfranchisement, where they lose any autonomy or power to do anything for themselves. We don't believe in that. We don't teach that nonsense. What we teach is separation. There's a big difference between segregation and separation. Why separation? Because when the man is abusive to the woman, all of her friends seeing her over and over again with black eyes, wearing dark glasses, trying to hide the abuse that's taking place behind closed doors, all of her friends say, listen, you need to leave that guy because he's going to kill you one of these days. And so when you're in a relationship with another people who have been abusive over 400 years, and even to this very day as I'm speaking, we're still having to go and sing "We Shall Overcome" and marching for equal this and equal that, and trying to get justice, equal justice under the law. See, at a certain point, the intelligent thing that you have to realize you have to do is you have to leave that abuse. You have to leave that abuser. You have to leave that person. You have to separate. When the man and the woman separates, who were previously married, one is not in necessarily an inferior state and the other one in a superior state. One may go to live in a flat, the other one may keep the house, but there's equity there in the sense that they're just separating, going their separate ways, and they sort out all of those ins and outs and the finances and so on and so forth. Somebody keeps the children while the other one gets visiting rights or whatever the case may be. But it's a separate but equal situation and condition under law. But segregation? No, that's a power dynamic there. We got no power to segregate white people anywhere. But we say, no, your abuse of us must stop. And so we say separation. Separation. If we cannot get along in peace with you, then let us separate and go our own way and do our own thing. You do yours, we'll do ours. But they don't even want that, you know, because Wall Street was all about separation. All of those 60 or so towns and communities and cities that black people built just after our enslavement, as we went into freedom, man, we started to build some places that was beautiful and thriving. Black people looked and got jealous and came in and destroyed on pretext again. Burnt down and destroyed and shot up and killed and murdered black people. Because we were doing well for ourselves, separate to them. Look, dear family, I just want us to appreciate that this is a pretext, okay? It's a pretext that's been used because what they recognize is that this story of ours, which is mostly hidden truth, okay? It's been buried, it's been covered up. I'm telling you, dear family, listen to the words of the Honourable Minister Louis Farrakhan. Listen to these words. And when I heard him say this, it really struck me, man, and it hurt. It really hurt. The Honourable Minister Louis Farrakhan said, if the truth of the suffering of the black man and woman in the Western Hemisphere was known, if the truth of our suffering was known, it would make a brass monkey shed tears. A brass monkey, not a real monkey, but an inanimate object might cry. That's how horrific what you and I, our ancestors, went through under these people. And so they don't want the world to know. That's why they can't say sorry and then deal with reparations. Because once they say sorry, a whole Pandora's box opens up, man. Once they tell the truth and start admitting what they did. So, dear family, this is why we have this particular situation right now with Diane Abbott. I hope you get it. I hope you understand, because if we don't, then, you know, we make a terrible mistake. I mean, that's the point. If we don't understand really what's going on, then we make a mistake, and then what happens is that you know, people can just play us, okay? People can play us. People can play us like a fiddle and make us look like fools if we go along with things which are really not real, okay, dear family? And so at this time, Imagination, promoting and advertising goods and services for the benefit of our community. Please take note, dear family, and support if you can. It's been a little while during the month of Ramadan. We didn't really do our adverts, but we want you to visit www.jjsorrel.com. Get that sorrel, man. Get that sorrel drink. It's a powerful drink, by the way. That hibiscus plant, you should do some research and study into it, because it's very, very healthy. It's got some fantastic qualities to it of a health nature. Also, check out at JJ_lovesorrel, or you can email to find out more about the various and beautiful products that our sister produces. Email info@jjsorrel.com, or you can even make a phone call. Take down the number, make a phone call, find out when you can get some beautiful cupcakes or some big what do you call it? Red velvet cakes.
And as the weather's changing, you can have a nice little garden party with your sorrel,
yes,
your red velvet cake with that lovely butter icing.
Yeah, beautiful. So you can make a phone call to 07947 253 341. That's 07947 253 341. Check out JJ Sorrell. Check out Nature's Hair Products, www.natureshairproducts.co.uk, and try the beard oil, specially formulated hair butters, and so much more from Nature's Hair Products, dear family. The feedback on Nature's Hair Products is excellent. Excellent. People really start talking about their hair is growing back. As you can see, I've not tried it. I don't use it.
Yeah, maybe if you tried it.
Yeah, maybe. And then somebody was trying to get me to get a what's that thing? The rubbing thing, that exfoliation thing to rub on my head. Saying, oh, if I rub that on my head, my hair. I mean, please, I don't want anybody to misconstrue, okay? I am not one of these people who's trying to do some kind of comb over because I really want hair. No, I deliberately shave my head, and I've been doing that for many, many years, and I'm happy to be a bald head, okay? I'm very happy being a bald head. Okay, so dear family, check out, visit the tribe, okay, at www.tribenation2019.com. Pick up, get yourself a garment, get yourself an artifact that you can have to demonstrate that you are part of that beautiful, cool tribe. Also, dear family, the famous bean pie, Nia's bean pie. Visit Instagram at Nia's_bean_pie or call 07956 127 975 and get a piece of that bean pie. Yes, it's absolutely beautiful. And again, I always say this, but I've got to let you know, it's one of the delicacies of the Nation of Islam. It's one of those foods that we consume, and it keeps us strong and it makes us healthy. Okay, it is a sweet that's healthy all at the same time. Check out Nia's bean pies. Dear family, also summer is coming. Get your t-shirts. Okay, you should be. Yeah, I don't know, man. I see. I've got some stuff. So I've got Nike and I've got Adidas. I've got a few of these labels. I try not to wear that too much, to be honest with you. And we have to, develop more and more our own garments with our own labels, and stop wearing these things and giving our money to Tommy the Hill nigger and all of these others that we like to go and spend our money with. People who hate our guts. Right. Louis Vuitton. I mean, oh my God, I hate seeing the way we just spend our money on these things, and especially our well-to-do people. We just a Birkin bag, and we really think we've arrived, man. What's it? Birkin bag or whatever. That can be 40,000. My God. 40,000 on a stupid bag. God. And who do we think we're impressing, man? That's right. I can assure you, Louis Vuitton is not impressed. But Satan's laughing. That's an idiot. Give me back my money. There you go. we go. We whatever we do to earn all that money, we work hard and we sweat, and we give it right back to them. Just for a handbag. Just for a silly bag. And if you were to visit one of these African countries, where they do leather and probably 10 times the quality. Right. But you're not going to buy it, are you? Because it's from your own brothers and your own sisters who really need that money. My goodness. Visit www.p2bb.uk or londonstudygroup19.org and order your Proud to be Black t-shirts, caps and mugs, and say it like you mean it, dear family. P2BB, in other words, proud to be black. Okay, you should be jazzing that all this summer. This summer, absolutely. Jazzing that all this summer. And once again, visit www.natureshairproducts.co.uk and try the moisturizing hair and scalp oil, as well as beard oil and other natural hair products. Don't forget, brothers and sisters, visit our YouTube channel, The Nation of Islam London Study Group New. And please, because I know of all the people currently watching this, I bet very few of you have already liked. You got to like each time. Like, share, hit that like button. And, share what we share with you, and also subscribe, dear family, because when you do this, you help us to grow the show. Also, click that donation button to help us in what we are endeavoring to do. Dear family, thank you. Thank you. How are we doing for time?
It is
Sister
7:34.
7:34. Beautiful. Yeah, it's quite sad that these people will accuse black people from time to time. You'll hear them. They accuse us of playing the race card.
Mm-hmm.
But nobody plays the race card like them.
That's right.
They are the ultimate at playing the race card. And I cannot emphasize enough, and I must say it again to you, you make a terrible error when you allow yourself to use language like the Jewish race. There is no such thing. And I'm telling you, family, they've got it down to the point where if you call up one of these radio stations and even suggest that there is no such thing as a Jewish race, they will shout you down and cut you off, and they will berate you all day long, because we're living in that time of doublespeak. We're living in that time that George Orwell predicted would come, whereby they will change language. Okay, so men and women. Okay, little children can choose to have surgery without the consent of their parents. I mean, this is the world that we're in now. Okay, where they can give you an experimental juke and tell you that it's okay, that it's safe and it's ethical and everything is good, when there's been no test to prove that reality. But they will just tell you anything now because they believe that they've dumbed the people down so much that they can just foist anything onto the people and the people will accept it. And so, dear family, look, man, we even are in a place now where you will hear even Muslims now saying that I guess you can be a non-practicing Muslim in the sense that you're a Muslim. Let's just deal with it like this. What is a Muslim? A Muslim is one who submits. Listen to what a Muslim is. One who submits his or her will entirely to do the will of God. So what if we're not submitting our will to do the will of God? Can we claim to be a Muslim? We may then just really be a Muslim in name only, but we're not really a Muslim, because the scripture is clear. Mere belief counts for nothing unless carried into practice. So if we allow those silly words to drip out of our mouth, oh, I'm a non-practicing Muslim, that's an oxymoron. It don't make sense. That's like saying I'm a tree that's driving a Ferrari down the road. When was the last time you saw a tree driving a Ferrari down the road? It don't make no sense. Trees stand at the side of roads or in forests or wherever trees grow, but they don't drive cars. I mean, I'm trying to be extreme here.
That is very extreme.
Yeah, but I'm trying to show you just how illogical certain statements are, but yet people now accept these types of statements without digging into it and exploring, well, what does that mean? How can you claim to be a Muslim and in the same breath say, I'm not practicing Islam? Well, you're not a Muslim then. It's the practice that makes you a Muslim. Doctors are in a medical practice. But if the doctor is not doctoring, if he's not practicing, why is he not practicing? If you're a doctor, you tend to be practicing. But if you've stopped doing it, are you a doctor? No, you're not, because you're not practicing. Yeah. You're only a doctor whilst you are doctoring, whilst you are practicing. So, okay, what's a Christian? A Christian is one who is crystallized into oneness with God, following the example of Jesus Christ. That's a Christian. That's a Christian. A Christian is one who is crystallized, in other words, becoming one with God, following the example of the man who said, not my will, but God's will be done. Thy will be done. The man who said, when you see me, you see the Father, because he has become one with the Father. So if you want to be like him, that's the crystallization that he has achieved. You can achieve it if you follow his example. Does that make sense? What is a Jew? Brothers and sisters, a Jew is one who has a covenant relationship with God. That's a Jew. Did you know that in the Nation of Islam, we love Jews? We love a Jew. We love Christians. We love Rasta. See, if you are living up to what you claim, we can't second guess you. If you say you are that and that's what you're trying to live and strive and trying to be a righteous person, calling themselves a Jew or a Christian or a Rasta or a Buddhist, it makes no difference to us. Once you are calling on the creator of the heavens and the earth, because there is only one God, by whatever name we call him, once you are bowing down and trying to do the will of God, man, you are brothers and sisters in faith, irrespective of the label that we put out front. But a white man can go into his local mosque and take the Shahada. I bear witness that there is no God but Allah, and I bear witness that Muhammad is his messenger, and he can become a Muslim. A Chinese man can do it. An Asian man can do it. Anybody can do it. It isn't a race thing. It's an individual thing that you choose to become that. Anyone can be a Jew. Just adopt the faith of Judaism, man. And study those books that the Jews study and try to live according to the laws and statutes of Judaism. That's what a Jew is. That's what a Christian is. That's what a Muslim is. There is no Christian race. There is no Islamic race. There is no Jewish race. It is a lie. It's a faith, belief system. And so to have Diane Abbott running scared, being accused of racism, my God, brothers and sisters, come on, man, let's wake up. Let's wake up, because we're being played, okay? We're being played. The people are being played. Okay, I'm trying to do something here. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to do it.
I'm seeing something else on my screen. Is this what you wanted? Diane Abbott is too close to.
Yeah, that came up on your screen, which
Yeah,
is what which is what I want.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
So strange. Did you want it to read it?
Yeah, I want to play something.
Oh, okay.
But maybe. Yeah, I'm not sure why it's doing that. 1 second, dear family. I will get this. I need to get this. What we'll do, we'll try and do it this way. See if we can do it this way. Okay, that's not right. So, okay, here we go. So, you saw the title. I should have stopped it while it was on the title. But the title is, Who Are the Real Children of Israel? This is a lecture that the Honourable Minister Louis Farrakhan has given more than once. More than once. Okay? And I'm really trying to show you, getting to the bottom of what's really going on in these headlines about Diane Abbott, because she got too close. She got too close by talking about our 400 years. Okay? By talking about, you know, real racism, which is anti-black racism, which is what they want to deny, whilst at the same time claiming that people can be racist against them. I mean, think about, look at the double speak. Look at the way in which they try to even, look, you know, I think it was Chancellor Williams who wrote Stolen Legacy. They're trying to steal, still trying to steal our identity. They've already done it, but nobody must come close to retrieving it. I hope you're following, dear family.
This question says that somebody has taken the promise of God to the children of Israel and claimed it for themselves.
Did you hear that? Somebody has taken the promise of God to the children of Israel and claimed it for themselves, man. This is real. See, and as long as we as black people don't know this, we're gonna remain in terrible, terrible trouble. As long as we don't know that our identity has been stolen and that somebody is perpetrating a fraud, then we will continue to be on the bottom of the pecking order of life, and we will continue to be used and abused in the manner in which we are. And we will continue to have to deny truth and run scared when somebody calls us a nickname, calls us a name like racist or anti-Semitic, when in reality we are the complete opposite to anything like that.
But those of you biblical and Quranic scholars, today we are prepared to call out the scholars of Christianity, Judaism, and Islam. If you can disprove what we say today, then I'll pay with my life a line.
Did you hear that? That's the kind of man we got. What are they willing to pay? They've been challenged. We've challenged them. The ministers challenged them. The Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad challenged them before the minister challenged them. That we're willing to give our life if they can disprove one word of the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, dear family. This is something that the minister stands on. And where are the scholars? Where are the scientists? Have they come back to fight? Have they come to say, yeah, we can prove? No, they shut their mouth. They hide away and they send out some of their little black imps and minions to make themselves look foolish, trying to challenge the truth of what God has revealed.
On that same day, he also told the world about a letter which he had written to the Anti-Defamation League's president, Abraham Foxman, but had also sent this letter and the books to President Obama and his staff, members of Congress, including the Black Caucus, leaders of the major Jewish organizations, black university heads, and many other black leaders.
You want to know where that is in Scripture? See, again, if we don't understand how we're living and walking the revealed Word of God, when you see the minister right into the president, right into these organizations who control presidents, okay, calling them out and challenging all of them with the truth. See, that's Moses being sent to Pharaoh.
That's right.
That's Moses and Aaron being sent to Pharaoh and saying, let my people go. And identifying the reality of who we are and who they are. Ah, brothers and sisters, I hope you're following.
Here is just an excerpt, and I quote, "We can now present to our people and the world a true, undeniable record of the relationship between blacks and Jews from their own mouths and pens. These scholars, rabbis, and historians have given to us an undeniable record of Jewish anti-black behavior." Part 2 of his announcement was delivered July 11, 2010 at Mount Mariam.
We pit this against scholars all over the world, and our scholars are prepared. Our historians are prepared to go up against the scholars of the world to prove, and theologians, that these that call us anti-Semitic are not Semitic at all.
See, that's another one of the big lies. Do you understand, dear family, that for us to be anti-Semitic, that would mean that we have to be against the Arabs as well? They're Semitic people. That means that we hate the Palestinians. We hate these people because they're all Semitic people in that part of the world. Semitic coming from semi, meaning a part of something, part of one and a part of another. They're mixed people. They got us in them. They couldn't be without us. For us to be anti-Semitic, it means that we have to be against our own self, because we're the original people who produced the Semitic people. Man, oh man, family, we need to wake up, man, and appreciate how much we are being played by these people. These people are mostly from Eastern Europe. They're from Europe. They're from Germany. They're from Russia. They're from all of these other parts of Europe, the Caucasus Mountains. They are not Semitic people. They have no history of being in that region of the world. Wow.
They have no connection whatsoever to the Holy Land.
Author, professor, scholar, and radio host Michael Eric Dyson interviewed Minister Farrakhan August 10th, 2010.
We have always read that it was Africans that sold our people into bondage, and that is true as it is recorded in the history of Joseph in the Bible and his brethren selling him into bondage.
Did you know that that was in the scripture? Joseph being sold into bondage by his own brothers. That's what some of our African brothers were involved in that. Some of our own African people, some of those chiefs, they sold us, family. Not all of them, some of them. Not every one of the ancestors was good, you know. Just like today, we got sellouts among us today, and we got some wicked, traitorous black people on the planet today. You see what's happening in Sudan? Do you understand that the CIA and the American government is behind what's going on in Sudan right now? Do you understand that the Russians were going to build a base in the Sudan? And that's what this is all about, that the Americans have now fomented a war down there between two factions to stop the Russians from being able to get any kind of foothold in Africa. Because America has got nearly 1,000 bases all around the planet Earth. And Russia now is flexing her muscles and wanting to put some bases out there as well. Nothing compared to what America has already got. She's got bases in Africa already. But we don't know what's going on, do we? We think, oh, two African groups have just decided to, all of a sudden, to start killing each other in Sudan. But how many of us know that just before that violence broke out, that Anthony Blinken, the so-called Secretary of State from America, was on the phone to one of those so-called generals? My God. And you need to research and find out where the generals were trained. And why is it so many of these generals who instigate these coups all over Africa, they were trained in Sandhurst, and they were trained in these institutions in America or in Britain and these other places? Did you know that Idi Amin was trained over here? But then Idi Amin went back to Uganda and decided, you know what? I don't really want to be a puppet for the British. So then he became a cannibal in the British newspapers. Oh, brothers and sisters, we've got to wake up, man. We've got to wake up and understand how this thing works.
We have often read about Muslims and the slave trade, and that Muslims were involved, Arab Muslims were involved in the slave trade yesterday and even today. But what has remained...
Because some of you think, oh, yeah, the nation, you're always going about the white man and slavery, but you never mention the Arabs. What, you think we don't know about the Arabs' role? We know. We call them out on it too. Nobody escapes. We know who was involved. But what about these other people?
A secret and not spoken of is the Jewish involvement in the undoing of black people and the slave trade and the owners of ships and the selling and dehumanizing of black people.
Now, some of the Jewish leaders did brave to respond, but failed to challenge the contents of the books. Like the biblical confrontations with Jesus, they only attempted to denigrate the messenger as an anti-Semite. The responses to these weak provocations by the Nation of Islam Research Department were brilliantly overwhelming. When Martin Klein of the Zionist Organization of America attacked Minister Farrakhan, Brother Cedric and Brother Ashad Muhammad slammed him.
I mean, how many of you know of the type of attacks that the Nation of Islam deals with, and how we've got scholars and how we've got historians and how we've got people who answer these people and beat them up, and then they have to quiet themselves and go about their business. Don't think that this is just like they don't say nothing and we're just talking into a vacuum. No, they try and come back, and then we deal with them. Then they have to run away because they can't defeat truth. Dear family.
Rabbi Abraham Cooper of the Simon Wiesenthal Center attacked. But within minutes, Brother Jackie Muhammad, Brother Tingba, and Brother Dimitri hit back 1, 2, 3. When Stanley Crouch and Abraham Foxman went on the radio, the final...
See that? This, I say brother with some quotation marks. See, because they trot out these Negroes, basically, to try and challenge the nation. But it's pathetic and it's sad.
Called pounded them in the next issue. When the Zionists objected to Minister Farrakhan, Brother Dr. Ridgely Muhammad objected to them even harder. When Earl Ofari Hutchinson decided to defend his Jewish bosses, Brother Tingba and Brother Dimitri made him pay.
Come on.
WTWG Radio in the city of Jackson, Mississippi.
Lehman Brothers started in Alabama as an owner of cotton plantations. Then they moved to New York and went into banking. I am telling you, dear beloved people of Mississippi, all the wealth of America, most of it was produced by you. And much of it even today is being produced by you under starvation wages on these plantations throughout Mississippi and the South.
Cliff Kelly, the legendary radio talk show host of Chicago, hosted the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan on March 10th, 2011.
So we wanted America and the world to know, well, if we could study their tragic history. Why shouldn't the American people know, and why shouldn't black people know how we got into this condition and position? So we're not only releasing the book, but we want it on every college campus, black and white. We want it studied in the classrooms. In fact, just as they made the autobiography of Malcolm X required reading, and they make the study of the Holocaust required, make the study of what happened to nearly 40 million black people in America, millions in the Caribbean, more and more millions in Brazil and South America. We need to know the horror of the transatlantic slave trade so that we won't have to say never again. We'll make damn sure that it will never happen again.
The chief is really, and second is violently their family. You should make sure that that should be acquired reading. You must have that in your library. There's 3 volumes now. Okay, get yourself a copy of The Secret Relationships. These are books which have been researched into Jewish scholars, historians, rabbis, what they said about their involvement in our destruction. Just think about that. Not us writing, you know, what we think they did, but taken from their own scholarship.
Exactly.
And then repeating it back to them, and they don't like it. Imagine. Just imagine, dear family. Brothers and sisters, I really hope that you understand, you know, what's going on with our sister Diane Abbott. I pray that she will recognize that she can't live in Pharaoh's house and expect to be successful, that she needs to come home like David Lammy, like Barack Obama. All of them, they all need to come home to the black community and bring their skills and their expertise and their scholarship to help the community, to help the nation to grow and to thrive. And so, dear family, that's what it's about. It's not about her being a racist or being anti-Semitic. That's a pretext to get rid of her from that party, because Keir Starmer is about to take it into, he's about to put the Conservatives to shame in terms of out-conservatism the Conservatives, okay? He's just going to be another version of what you've already got. There is no change coming from politicians. The only change is coming from Almighty God and his servants. So I really want to thank you, dear family. I hope that you got something out of tonight. And before we go, Sister Claudia, can we find out where people are? Did you all put...
quiet on YouTube.
People are quiet on YouTube.
Yeah.
We want to know where you are, family. Where are you tuned in from? Come on, man.
We've got West London.
Put in that chat. Let us know where you are observing from. Any messages from anybody that we need to read out before we go?
Brother Colin Brown said, "Thanks for the knowledge of brother. Stay blessed."
Where is Brother Colin Brown? Do you know? Don't know. I can see somebody's in Sutton.
Yes.
Somebody else is in Ealing. Yeah, man. I want to know where you are, family. We want to know where you are in the world, and we want you to, you know, share the information.
Turkey.
Wow, go ahead.
We've got Turkey.
I want to go to Turkey. You know, I do want to visit Turkey, and yeah, wonderful to see you there in Turkey. Wonderful. Let us know where you are, family, before we leave you this evening. Thank you all.
Thank you all.
Thank you all for tuning in. Thank you for your continued support. Watford, okay. I go down there sometimes in Watford. The Watford Gap. Yeah. Thank you, dear family. As I told you at the beginning, we are fasting, and so it's looking a little bit like it's getting dark. The sky still looks a bit light to me,
Yeah.
but it's
We've
getting.
still got time.
We still got some time. We're gonna go and break our fast in a few minutes, do our Maghrib prayer, and really enjoying this period of fasting. Forest Gate,
Yes.
wonderful. Good to hear you. Good to see you, dear
Brother
family.
John.
Brother John in Forest Gate, wonderful. And we look forward to seeing you for another episode of the Imagination Show. Same time, same place, 6:30 each and every Thursday evening. And please spread the word. We look forward to seeing you again. May the Creator bless you and your family to have peace and love and tranquility and beauty in your lives. And just to say, my final thing is that on May the 11th this year, this will be the 90th birthday of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan Muhammad. He is the greatest champion of the liberation struggle for black people on planet Earth today. He is a man that I love with every fiber of my being. And this is the man who has blessed me to have something to say to you today. What a blessing to have him still among us. And so on May the 11th this year, we are going to be celebrating his birthday. Unfortunately, family, it's only going to be for the registered believers in the Nation of Islam, where we're going to come together, we're going to get together, and we're going to have a beautiful day, inshallah, to celebrate the birth of this wonderful human being that is among us today, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan Muhammad. And dear family, we will keep you posted and report to you as to how everything goes. And I'll say this to all of us. Right now we have Saudi Arabia and Iran talking peace. We've got Saudi Arabia and Yemen talking peace. We got Saudi Arabia and Syria talking peace. We got brothers and sisters all over the planet trying to make peace and coming together. And we intend to do exactly the same thing right here in the United Kingdom. And I would appeal to you, dear family. Some of you have got family members who you have not spoken to for months and even years. Some of you have fallen out with family members and friends and relatives and loved ones. We appeal to you, make peace, come together. This time period that we're living in is a very, very precarious and dangerous time, and we cannot afford to be divided. We cannot afford to be one against the other. We must come back and be a family again. And so, dear family, thank you. May Allah bless you as I greet you, as I found you, the greeting words of peace. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam. Thank you all, family, and I pray that you all stay safe and stay blessed.
Stay blessed.
Be alert. We have to be alert on the streets.
It's a great and a dreadful day.
That's right.
Yeah.
Be
Make
alert.
sure you stay in the great part.
And make sure you keep in contact with your family wherever
Yes.
you're going. Let
Yes,
somebody
yes,
know
yes.
where you are.
Yeah, don't
at
do
all times.
disappearing acts in
No.
this day and time.
No.
Don't just go off. Make sure that somebody always knows where you are, where you're going, what you're doing. It's very important, family. These are dangerous days,
That's
okay?
right. And we have to stay together.
Absolutely.
Our unity is the strongest force.
Strongest force.
That's
Strongest force.
So
Hold fast to the rope of Allah.
that's right. That's right.
Stay together.
So stay blessed, and thank you all for your support. Have a wonderful week. Don't forget, keep God in mind
Yes.
every second of the day.
Have a wonderful weekend.
That's right. Take care.
See you next Thursday, inshallah.
Inshallah.